Howdy folks, John here. In today's DIY video, we're going to be fixing the infamous foam flying out of the air vents issue that eventually plagues all Porsche 996 and 997 911s and all 986 and 987 Boxsters and Caymans. Now there's already several good videos out there showing how to address this problem going in from the center vents. And I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Now, I'm going to be showing you a different and less invasive method because I, for one, don't want to butcher the air plenum from behind the center vents to get inside the air box to access the disintegrating foam and perform the repair. That center vent access method actually won't even work with 997s because there's something in the way. So if you're like me and the thought of cutting a hole in your air plenum and taping it back up has turned you off this repair, hopefully this less intrusive option will be of interest. I should point out there's one tool that you pretty much need to perform this less intrusive Porsche vent foam repair that you may or may not have, and that's a Borescope. Now, thankfully you can pick these useful tools up for not much money these days, and let's face it, a Borescope is one of those tools that no DIYer should be without, and if your experience is anything like mine, once you get a Borescope, you won't know how you lived without it. Before getting to the repair, I just want to quickly go over why this problem occurs in the first place, where the foam is coming from, and if this repair is even required. Now, if you already know the background on Porsche disintegrating vent foam, feel free to skip ahead in the video to the time chapter where the repair actually starts. Here's a photo of the Porsche AC climate control HVAC Air Box, heater box, AC box, whatever you want to call it. This intake here is the fresh air intake. The pollen filter is over top of that. Here's the blower fan. The blower fan pulls air in. It goes across the AC, which lives in this part of the box. Then it's ducted through this little snorkel. There is a door in here that will divert the cold air either out to your vents or through the heater core. So here's the heater core section of the air box, and depending on how open this door is, whether it's fully closed or partially open, will dictate what the temperature of air is. So this is the temperature blend door, and then up here we've got another door, and this is the vent selection door. So in the closed position here, it's diverting all the air to either the defrost ducting or the floor ducting. When this door is all the way closed, it's diverting all the air out to your 4 center vents. And you can see here, let's just bring up a different photo. Here's a better shot of it. Here's what happens. The foam disintegrates over time. It's biodegradable from the heat and the temperature swings, and it just falls apart. And then what happens is all these holes open up and air will flow through them. So if this door is missing all its foam, what will happen is you're going to be getting air through your center vents even if you select defrost or floor heat. And if we go back to our, actually let's look at this one. Here's the back side of the air box. So this would be if we were looking at it from in the trunk, and this is actually how we're going to be accessing our doors. The door up here, the air temperature blend door, which you access through where the heater core hole is. When all the holes are open on it, you'll still get cold air coming through it, but when it's closing up to divert air through your heater core, not nearly as much air will be coming through the heater core. A lot of it's going to be going through the holes, so you're going to be getting cool air out of your vents and not much warm air. So why use foam? Why does it come apart? And why do you even have to replace it? Well, I think we just covered why. If these holes open up, this one's not as critical. You know, if there's some bleed by into your center vents, most people don't care. But the temperature control blend door is kind of important. And mine had been doing this for about 3 years, and it was still working fine, but I noticed this one was the worst. A couple of the holes were open when I had a look at it, and I was getting air out of my center vents. But the thing that finally prompted me to do it this year was a big hunk came flying out through the floor vents, and I at first thought it was a mouse, and I was driving. Freaked me out enough, I thought, I got to get this taken care of. So now that the car is in storage for the winter, this is a great opportunity to do it. Why use foam? Well, it seals well around the doors, and it also dampens the air noise a little bit, but not really enough for me to be concerned about it if the foam is missing. And why does the foam rot out? Well, I found a site that explains it very well in this sentence. Most factory open cell foam is a polyester-based foam that is biodegradable, which is why it comes apart and blows out the vents. Now these folks, Blendor USA, they sell a special foam just for blend doors. If you wanted to use their special foam, which is really squishy and is able to seal properly, you might want to check this site. I'll have a link below in the description. Not affiliated with them or anything. You know, it's not the method I'm going to use. And as you can see, it's not just a problem with Porsche. You know, Volkswagens have it, Audis have it, but even a bunch of domestics here. This is a common problem. So here's an image of our two blend doors we're going to be working on, the temperature blend door and the vent select blend door. The vent select blend door, this is the one that you're going to need the borescope for to see what you're doing. We're going to be putting 4 3D printed plugs in here, and I've designed the files for these. We'll go over those in a moment. And the temperature blend door, this one can actually be removed. So if you wanted to foam this one, you could, because you have to wrap foam around the edges. But I'm just going to be using tape on this one, aluminum duct tape. I actually feel that's better than the plugs. It's lighter, but you could get 3D printed plugs for these holes as well and silicone or glue them in. And that's why the factory quotes many thousands of dollars to do this job, because they are just going to replace the entire air box. You know, they're not going to try to fix anything. They have to offer a warranty with it. It's a huge job. You know, the whole dash has to come out to get to this component, plus the cost of the component. But as a DIYer, we're not doing that. We are fixing the doors. Let's get to it. Here is the oval plug for the vent select blend door that I have designed. You're going to need 4 of these. And here is the temperature mix blend door cap for the bushing. You'll see what this is used for when we're replacing it. And I have links to these 2 files down below in the description. Just charging a few bucks for them, for those of you who have your own 3D printers. Or you can look on eBay and there's people selling these things. Regardless if you're going to print your own door plugs or purchase them, make sure they are made out of ABS. PLA, its glass transition temperature is just too low, you know, around 60 Celsius, whereas ABS is just over 100 Celsius. The coolant temperature in the car is never going to get over 100, or it shouldn't, so you're pretty safe with ABS. And you know how big this job is. The last thing you want is your door plugs to deform and melt inside the air box. So go with ABS. PETG may be okay, but again, its glass transition temperature is under 100 Celsius. So I'd be a little cautious with that one too. I've designed these little oval blend door plugs with a small round recess in the center of them. It's 10 millimeters in diameter, and it will accept a small steel washer. This is an M4 washer. Now the idea here is I will be able to hold the plug with a magnetic tool with that washer in the center of it. And I'll put silicone around the exterior of the plug edge there. And I will be able to reach into the blend door to fit the plug into the hole. And then once it's positioned in the hole, I will hopefully be able to slide the magnetic tool off of the face of the plug. I'm just going to glue these washers into the plugs with 5-minute epoxy. Figure that's a fairly safe and robust adhesive considering the application and the temperature range these will experience. As you can probably tell, we're in the frunk, or the front trunk of the car here. And this is how you access the air box to get to the foam and the doors using this repair method. Now I've removed all the cowling and covers and everything to get to this. It's not that difficult, but I'm going to link to a forum post down in the description. The fellow's got a really good write-up with photos and everything, how to get all this stuff off so you can access the airbox. I just don't want to cover the same thing again. And I think anyone who's going to be doing this, you've got the wherewithal how to remove this. It's really simple. I'll just quickly show you what all comes off. It may look like a lot, but really it's very simple. There's the battery cover, the two side covers on either side of the battery cover. The windshield wiper arms have to come off. The cowling right underneath the windshield that covers the front of the airbox. There's two strut braces, the center strut brace mount, the window wiper motor assembly, the little foam cover that covers the airbox, and the heater core access, and of course the heater core, which is just over there. If you ever have to replace a heater core on one of these cars, so simple. I can't believe how easy it is to get to it. Most cars, getting to the heater core is a bear. Well, I should point out on mine here, the windshield washer heater plugs, they were badly corroded, both on the inlet and on the plug that you plug into it. The pins were badly corroded. I don't even know if they were working. So I spent a little bit of time cleaning these up on both the socket and the plug. And when I put it back together, I'm going to pack these with silicone dielectric grease to keep the water out of them. It's funny that they don't use a sealed plug for that. This is also a perfect time to check the cabin pollen filter. If it's dirty, easy to replace at this point. When you do this job, you're not removing any of the air conditioning lines or anything, so you don't have to worry about recharging the AC. You do, of course, have to pull the hoses off of the heater core. There's an in and an out, just spring clamps on here. And you may be thinking you're going to lose a lot of coolant. Not at all. Just make sure you don't do it when it's hot, of course, and it wouldn't hurt to open the cap of your coolant fill just to relieve any pressure in the system. And if there's no pressure in the system, when you slide these off of the heater core, very little coolant came out. You know, I bet you maybe a tablespoon, if that. And I just put some rags underneath it to catch anything that dripped out. And this is the highest point of the cooling system, so nothing's going to gravity drain out or anything. And when you hook it back up, you know, the little bit of coolant you've lost, you know, just drive the car and just recheck the coolant to make sure that the level's okay. And I just plugged the end of these hoses with wine corks. I don't like pinching rubber hoses with clamps. It fatigues them, so corks are pretty much the perfect size. Right, so here we are looking down the heater core hole into the AC or climate control HVAC air box. It's not that big. It's about a hand width wide or long, and about 3 or 4 fingers in width. So there's not tons of room to work in here. This little top piece you have to saw off with a hacksaw blade. At least that's what I got in there. Again, that right up on that forum post is pretty good on this. You don't want to take much off, but you have to saw the top of this little plastic button off, and that allows you to access the upper temperature blend door bushing. This slides over the blend door prongs and it rotates in here. And you have to be able to pull this out to get the blend door out. And at the bottom, there's another one of these. It looks a little bit different. It's got a screw on it, and that's what hooks up to the temperature blend door actuator motor. So you have to take the top one out and the bottom one. I'll show you that one in just a bit here. And then you can remove the blend door. You can just pivot it out of the way and pull it out. Just excuse my reach here. Very hard to get to it with the camera, the extension light here. Now, I've already covered this one in tape, as you can see. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. And once you get that out, it's hard to see from this angle. Let me just move this. There's a little opening in there, and that's where we can access the front vent select blend door to put the plugs in. I'm going to have to show you all that with the Borescope camera. Here's the Borescope view going through the heater core opening to have a look at the vent blend door. Okay, we're in the passenger footwell right now. I've removed, there's a foam cover that goes over all this, and once you get it off, this is the air box up in here. We're quite close to the center tunnel. In fact, this is it right here. And here is the temperature blend door actuator and the arm. There's the hole for the lower bushing for that blend door. And you'll notice I had little marks on here where the position was. And in that hole, there's this little plug. So you can see that. And on the one end, it's got the little prongs that accept the flap on the blend door. And on the other end, there's a little screw here. It's a 7mm head. So that little screw is what holds the arm on. Then you can get the mix door out. Your call if you want to try this. I've just got a shop vac hose hooked up to the heater core hole. Just shoved it in the hole and put a rag in there so I'm getting good suction through the hose. And then I'm just going to blow compressed air through all the center vents and defrost vents to hopefully blow out and suck out any remaining foam in the system. Basically like doing a duct cleaning in your home furnace. If you don't want to do this, of course, just turn your fan on high when you're done and any remaining foam in the system will probably blow out. As I said, that vent select blend door still had about half the foam on it, and what I used to get most of it off was this little hook attachment that screws on to the Borescope camera end, and I was able to get most of it off. It just fell off. The door holes themselves, they're actually what was keeping the foam adhered to the doors. You know, the holes, the foam was basically, that was the only glue that was left intact, holding both sides of the foam together through the blend door holes. Some people think that the holes in the doors are there for some airflow to get through because some air will flow through the foam. No, it won't. That foam on the adhesive backside of it is completely sealed off by the adhesive. It's almost like a cellophane. So no air gets through those holes even when the foam is on. So there's no problem blocking them up. So here's all the foam I got out of the air box and off the doors, not counting what got sucked up by the vacuum. Quite a bit of it. A good portion of this actually came off the temperature blend door. One side was completely still intact. The back side, however, half of it was off. And you'll notice on my blend door, I made sure to mark the orientation when I took it out so I know exactly how it goes back in. And like I said, I taped mine with foil, aluminum foil duct tape. Whatever you do, don't use this garbage gray stuff. Yeah, it won't last long at all. And ask any good HVAC technician the secret to ensuring foil duct tape stays on for life. And that is, after you apply it, use a squeegee to make sure it's completely adhered on. And I've wrapped this twice, so there's actually 4 layers on here. So it should be good and strong. I'm sure it will last for the rest of my life. As far as the tool goes that I made for fitting the Vent Select blend door plugs, I just made this out of a piece of chain link fence wire. You could use heavy coat hanger, welding rod. You want something fairly strong and not all loosey-goosey. It's about 16 inches long. I can't really give you bend specifics. Hopefully that gives you a kind of an idea of its shape though. Basically, I'm going to be holding it with this handle end, fitting it through the hole where the heater box hole is, and then bending it around the corner there. And the blend door is kind of like this, and then I can access all the holes. Starting from the top, working down. You're just going to have to play around with the shape of it until you get something you like. You know, getting that little angle there so the flat is sitting, you know, nice and flat against the blend door as you're holding it. And then I've just got a little rare earth magnet, bar magnet there on the end that I've CA glued on in the right position, and it will hold the blend door plug. Practicing fitting the plugs. Did this a number of times to make sure it would work before putting the actual RTV silicone on. Using Permatex Ultra Gray. Tool! Now the fun begins. Yeah, so this first one was the worst. It's a bit of a learning experience. As soon as the silicone touches the door, of course, the plug starts sticking. And what I kind of found out, you kind of smear it around and pop, it'll kind of slide it into the hole. The magnet could be a bit stronger, and so could my rod. The rod was bending quite a bit. But once it got in the hole, I just tamped it in. The others went better. Sure as hell doesn't look pretty, but they're all in and they're not coming out. Just got to wait overnight for the RTV to dry now. 3 quick tips on the rod tool. Wish I would have gone with a bigger diameter. This was just too springy. I wish it was just a little bit stronger. This is 2.5 millimeter diameter. Should have gone with 3 millimeter diameter or even 3.5. You don't want to go too big because then it will be hard to shape it. Should have glued the magnet on with JB Weld right from the get-go. The CA glue broke on the second plug and the magnet stuck to the blend door. That was fun getting that off. And the magnet could have been maybe a little bit bigger, as in width. This little bar magnet is 25 by 5 millimeters wide. Could have definitely gone 8 millimeters wide, even 10. But other than that, it worked. And the main thing is my hands aren't all scarred up, other than having some RTV silicone under the fingernails. The RTV on those plugs has dried overnight, so now we can fit everything. I'm not going to show the whole process, it's just the reverse order, but I'll give you a few tips along the way if I run into them. Quick correction, I think I said I had the climate control set to full heat. No, it was full cold, that's why the door is shut. That's the position I want it in. I've got some rags stuffed in here to keep it shut while we fit the bushings, the upper bushing, and of course the lower bushing with the actuator arm. Got the old tub of silicone grease out. I would recommend lubing the bushings with a little bit of silicone grease before you install them. The bottom bushing had a lot of silicone grease on it when I took it out. The top one was pretty dry. And if you look through the hole, you can see where the door prongs are. And there we go. It's that simple. So now our little 3D printed cap just snaps over top of here. Or it doesn't snap, it slides on. Okay. It would probably stay in that position, but what I'm going to do is use some goop glue. I'm just going to smear it around the outside. You could use silicone RTV as well, just to keep it on. The reason I want to use goop or silicone would be if I ever have to do this job again, and you know you can easily remove it then. And I wish I could show you the one down in the footwell, but there's hardly enough room for me to even get my hands in there, never mind the camera. Okay, got the battery back in just to test this out. Don't have the heater core back in. Just want to make sure everything's working before we start buttoning everything back up. Before you even take the battery out when you start this job, you want to be in low temperature and you want either the bottom vents or upper defrost vents, not the center, so that blend door is shut to put the plugs in, the vent select door. So let's just turn this on. And first let's see if that door is working for our high and low temp. So when we go up to high here, that door should open to allow air to go through the heater core. Yes, it does. We can see it also on the actuator under the footwell. Go back to low. You can hear the actuator closing, and there it goes. Good stuff. Now to test the vents. Let's turn the fan up a bit. So, yep, definitely feeling a lot of air coming out on the foot. So that's working. Let's go to, there's a tiny bit coming out of the center vents, so they're not sealing as good as with the foam on. But in my case, a lot more air was coming out of these because 2 of the holes were wide open. So this is really, there's hardly anything, but you can feel a little bit of air coming out. Just with the floor vent. Let's do the defrost, see if that's any different. Now, it feels about the same, but oh, tons of air coming out on the defrost there. So that's working. And let's go to center vent. Oh, there goes a piece of foam. Wonder how long we're going to be living with that. So even blowing the foam out with the air hose didn't help anything. Well, it probably helped a little bit. Not much is coming out, but I did see a piece come flying out. No strange whistling noises, regardless of the door positions. So that was one little worry I was going to have, if the doors would maybe whistle in certain positions, but I've tried a whole bunch of combinations here and nothing. Different fan speeds, no whistling whatsoever. I can't tell any difference in the airflow noise without the foam on the doors. Be extremely careful putting the heater core back in. These fins are so fine and thin. Make sure you go straight in and just let the weight of the core get it into position. The heater core access hole foam cover, it's sealed on with butyl sealant. It's basically a non-drying, it's really gooey, sticky stuff. It should just separate when you peel this off. If you did have to replace it though, just look for butyl sealant tape and you can get it to replace what's on here, but this stuff's still okay. Getting it on with the, there we go. You may have to lift up the AC evaporator or the AC line here to get the foam underneath it. So the butyl tape is sticking. Sure went back together a lot easier than it came apart. All that's left are the wiper arms. One thing that helps when you are refitting your wiper blade arms, before you take them off, put little marks on the window where the wipers are parked, and then when you refit the arm, you can get it in the exact same park position because the output shafts are splined, and this just ensures you fit the arm on the right spline location. So if you don't want to butcher your air plenum up to get to the disintegrating foam and do the blend door repair, hopefully this gives you another option. Thanks for watching, folks, and regardless which method you use, happy defoamification. Oh, and be sure to enjoy vacuuming the final foam flakes out of your car for the very last time, as much as I know I'm going to.